6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lal Mallavarachi and read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. The President emphasizes that he has not deviated from the principles of the democratic socialist system. The IMF says performance by Sri Lanka under the debt restructuring program has been strong. Minister JUN emphasized that international approval for Sri Lankan economic recovery. The online applications for university admissions open today. Sri Lanka Festival in Japan commences tomorrow. News overseas, the G7 leaders agree a $50 billion loan plan for Ukraine. In sports, Chamari Atapattu was named ICC Women's Player of the Month for the second time. And those are the headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized that he has not deviated from the principles of the democratic socialist system in Sri Lanka. He noted that two key objectives have been incorporated, ensuring that all citizens have an adequate standard of living and promoting rapid development across the country through public and private economic activities aimed at social objectives and the public good. President Wickremesinghe highlighted that the recently submitted Economic Transformation Bill is designated or designed to achieve these ambitious goals within the framework of the Constitution. He asserted that this legislation underscores its adherence to the constitutional principles, thereby countering any accusations of the unconstitutional actions. The President made these remarks during the keynote address at the inaugural session of the 45th SAARC Finance Governors Meeting and Symposium held yesterday at the Hilton Hotel, Colombo. President Ranil Wickremesinghe noted that several countries in the region have recently held elections, resulting in the formulation of new governments. He remarked that Sri Lanka is also approaching an election which will be pivotal in determining the country's future trajectory. The President emphasized that the importance of this election, suggesting that it will decide whether Sri Lanka continues the cycle of changing governments every 5 years or sets a course for sustained national progress. The IMF's Executive Board completed the second review under the 48-month extended fund facility for Sri Lanka, granting the country immediate access to $336 million to support economic policies and reforms. The performance under the program has been strong, with all quantitative targets for end of December 2023 met, except for social spending. Despite this, Sri Lanka's economy remains vulnerable and achieving debt sustainability is still precarious. Continued reform efforts and debt restructuring are crucial for lasting recovery. The Article 4 consultation emphasized reforms to restore stability, maintain price stability, safeguard financial stability, and implement growth-oriented structural changes. Total IMF financial support to Sri Lanka now reaches approximately $1 billion. The IMF, issuing a statement, said performance by Sri Lanka under the program has been strong. Meanwhile, Finance State Minister JUN emphasized that the approval of the second review by the IMF and the release of the third tranche in the process of taking the country's economy to a new dimension by transforming it into a country that does not face an economic crisis again is a guarantee provided on the success of building the economy of the country both locally and internationally. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Your next generation digital banking partner, People's Bank.
After a lapse of 4 years, arrangements have been made to hold the Sri Lanka Festival again on a grand scale in Japan tomorrow and day after at Yoyogi Park in Tokyo. The Sri Lanka-Japan Business Council, which organizes the festival, said that after 4 years, the annual Sri Lanka Festival, which has stopped due to various reasons, will be held on a grand scale in Japan. The Sri Lanka Festival is the biggest Sri Lankan event in Japan, where thousands of Sri Lankans living in Japan meet once a year. Besides, many Japanese people are keen on visiting the festival and associating with Sri Lankans. The online applications for university admissions for the academic year 2023-2024 will open today, the University Grants Commission said. The chairman of the UGC, Senior Professor Sampath Amritsinga, stated that the applications can be submitted by logging into the UGC's official website through www.ugc.ac.lk from 6 a.m. today. Meanwhile, the closing date for the applications will be on 5th of July 2024 according to the UGC. And that's local news.
Enjoy seamless shopping. Open LCs, settle bills and transfer funds instantly, anywhere and anytime. With People's Bank Digital Solutions, you're empowered to do more whenever and wherever you want. Unlock a world of modern banking conveniences with People's Bank, your next generation digital banking partner. People's Bank.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized that all governors should actively ensure the efficient implementation of government's welfare programs and promptly deliver their benefits to the people. The President made these remarks during a discussion held with the provincial governors at the Presidential Secretariat recently. The meeting also included an extensive discussion on addressing the shortage of teachers at the provincial level and improving the efficiency of the Urimaya freehold land distribution program. The President highlighted the potential for improving the efficiency of the Urimaya freehold land deeds program by implementing mobile services and delegating authority to an additional group beyond the Grama Niladhari level.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, local matchbox manufacturers claim that their factories are on the verge of closing down and they are currently in a critical situation due to the imports of low-quality gas lighters. Environmentalists also claimed that the low-quality gas lighters imported in bulk are causing significant environmental pollution after being discarded once the gas runs out. It was reported that a large number of low-income families are working in a matchbox manufacturing company in Kundasale, Kandy. And that's Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
The headlines: G7 leaders agree a $50 billion loan program for Ukraine. Greece closes more ancient tourist sites as heat wave persists. Wild horses return to Kazakh plain after centuries. And those are the headlines of the world news. U.S. President Joe Biden and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will be at the G7 summit in Italy and are expected to hold a press conference last night. Top of their agenda is a plan to raise $50 billion for Ukraine by using frozen Russian assets. It is hoped that the plan, which officials say G7 members have agreed to, would give cash-starved and war-weary Ukraine another vital lifeline. Representatives from Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK and US are at the summit to discuss issues including the wars in Ukraine and Gaza. Greece shut more ancient tourist sites in Athens yesterday, and elderly people took refuge at designated air-conditioned spots as the first heat wave of the summer persisted for the third day. The famous Acropolis, set on a rocky hill overlooking the capital, and other nearby tourist attractions were closed on Thursday afternoon. Endangered wild horses have returned to the golden steppe of Kazakhstan for the first time in at least 200 years after decades-long efforts. The airlifts of 7 horses from Europe to the Central Asian country took place in early June in an operation run by Prague Zoo. Researchers told BBC that the horses are already doing well 2 weeks in roaming around the plums and even beginning the mating process. And that's world news. Development news. Minister of Education Susi Premchand has announced that 2,500 new teacher opportunities or appointments for national schools are scheduled for the 3rd of July. Arrangements have been made to recruit 2,100 teachers for subjects including chemistry, physics, biology, mathematics, technology and foreign languages. The minister said additionally, 500 teachers will be appointed based on the results of 2021 English Medium Advanced Diploma examination. These appointments will be significantly reduce the issue of the teacher shortages in national schools. And that was development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Sri Lanka skipper Chamari Atapattu secured her second ICC Women's Player of the Month when she won the top prize for her performances in May 2024. Chamari had plenty of success in May 2024 as she captained Sri Lanka to qualify for this year's ICC Women's T20 World Cup 2024 in Bangladesh with a victorious campaign in the qualifying tournament in Abu Dhabi. And that's sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Airport and Aviation Services Limited, a fully government-owned company, released its annual report for the year 2023 recently, posting an all-time record. Operational profit of 19,315 million rupees and profit after tax of 28,122 million rupees for the financial year 2023. The company recorded a total revenue of 38,376 million rupees and a net profit after tax of 28,122 million rupees. In addition, the company contributed 12,218 million rupees to the government of Sri Lanka in the financial year 2023.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, a senior economic advisor to the President, Dr. R.H.S. Samaratunga, says that learning lessons from the economic crisis and identifying the main causes that created it, the government has formulated new policies ensuring that no economic crisis would be repeated again. He said this at a special media event in Colombo recently. Weather report. The Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the western, Sabaragamu and northwestern provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in Uvo province in evening or night. Strong winds of about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slopes of the Central Hills, northern, north-central and northern or northwestern provinces and in Trincomalee, Hambantota and Monaragala districts. And that was the weather report. To wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. The President emphasizes that he has not deviated from the principles of the democratic socialist system. The IMF says performances by Sri Lanka under the debt restructuring program has been strong. Minister Shayan Semsingh emphasized that international approval for Sri Lanka economic recovery. The online applications for university admissions open today. Sri Lanka Festival in Japan commences tomorrow. News overseas, G7 leaders agree $50 billion loan plan for Ukraine. In sports, Chamari Atapattu was named ICC Women's Player of Month for the second time. And with that, we conclude this morning news broadcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.